Are you ready to find peace in your heart? Of course you do. I'm Coach EaZy, and welcome to the It's EaZy show. As an empowered empath, empowering mindsets, and confidence through adversity, I will help you connect and conquer. Listen in as we talk real about serious concerns in the world and learn how by working together we can make life amazing. You are the ultimate number one in your life, and that's why you can be whoever you want and do whatever you want without worrying what anyone else thinks. Why? Because it's easy with me, Coach EaZy. I believe there is a path to an easier way, and having God in your life is the key. On this show, laughter is a promise, and music is the spiritual language. Because it's easy. Starts now.
Well, hello, folks. Coach EaZy, Because It's EaZy show. Transformation. Talk radio. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It's getting nice out, especially for us Midwest people. You guys down south probably always got nice weather. But we've had kind of just a long winter. It wasn't that really horrible, but it was just long. We are always looking forward to springtime. So anyway, what I wanted to discuss with you guys today is addiction and how it's not your fault. For someone that's battled addiction, and it was not my fault. I mean, literally, the more and more I've researched and stuff, I mean, they consider alcoholism a disease, but people that are affected by the people and their addiction don't usually see it that way. They're angry, or they're embarrassed of them, whatever you want to call it. And the person that's addicted, trust me, they're embarrassed. They feel weak. They feel, I mean, this can happen to a president of a bank. It can happen to anybody. I mean, it can happen to rich, poor. It has no discrimination. It can be literally anybody. I know a lot of times it's categorized as more of the people that are poor, people that are not well off. And to be honest with you, that's not as many of those as you think, because those are the people that don't have the money to be addicts. But then those types of people sometimes tend to, do crimes. They rob people and end up in prison. And then a lot of times they get sober in prison. So sometimes it's just to not be around it is the best thing you can be. And that's kind of where I'm going to get into, is just if you are addicted, just know that don't feel ashamed. You can get help. There's definitely help out there. But there's also the other side of this. Somebody that's addicted, don't condemn them. And don't think of them as pieces of shit, because that's just going to make them stay there. They're never going to get better if they don't have any support. So I'd say that, addiction, basically, what is addiction? There's different types. It's not just drugs. There's behavioral addiction. There's, of course, physical addiction. It's a real thing. I bet you over half of America is addicted to their cell phones. Facts. I know I am. I'll be the first to admit it. It's terrible. It's terrible. But part of my work is I do a lot of my stuff on my phone, which it's a very handy tool to have, but it can take over your life. Like they say that production at most companies are way down due to cell phone use. People can't put their phone down for 5 seconds. Actually, I heard a story about an addict who was making a point that don't condemn, don't knock on addicts, because put your phone down and see how long you can go without picking it back up. Now, some of us can do that easy. I can't. I mean, there's addictions that are bad, but there's some addictions that are just sometimes part of life, but they can also be effective and harm you in different ways. People can get fired from work for being on the phone too much. I've seen that happen. So there's many different types of addiction. Obviously, there's things you can look for. Some people assume somebody's an addict. Maybe they're just struggling with life. I mean, they don't know for sure. Asking questions is always a good thing, but in a supportive type of way. But I can tell you one thing, somebody that's not an addict or is an addict, they're going to get real defensive and deny it probably till it's just completely obvious. But that's okay. And it's also okay if you ask somebody or try to get people help. Take baby steps. The harder you push, the faster you're going to lose them altogether. But be supportive. Obviously, don't let them destroy your life in the meantime. Keep your distance, but just make sure you're there. If you act supportive, they'll tend to open up to you, and they may even care about you back so much that they're going to, because an addict has to want to be healed too. Because there's some addicts maybe that aren't quite ready. They have to maybe hit a spot, but that doesn't mean everybody's the same. Some people are addicted and they just need someone to help them. They just need someone to come reach out and care, you know? So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, they got alcohol is considered a disease. And I guess it's funny is that I don't knock anybody for drinking. I drank a lot in my life. I don't drink anymore because I make stupid decisions when I'm drinking. But it's not as easy for some people to quit because some people's lives maybe are depressed or they drink to forget about their day. You know, and I see that some of that's I don't think that's a bad thing. If you do it in small moderations, you know, don't drink 2 bottles of wine at night, you're probably okay. So like, here's some qualifications. I mean, some things like gambling, there's question if that's considered an addiction or not. I kind of think it might be anything that you can't stop doing, I would consider an addiction. And I'm very transparent about this stuff. I've completely changed my life over the last 6-7 years, but I've dabbled in a lot of different things. A lot of times from peer pressure, you know, that's what a lot of people get addicted is peer pressure. And then or just wanting to fit in, or it could just be because they're depressed or have anxiety. And don't think that for me, pain pills was my addiction. I had back surgery, and that shit's real. Those pain pills got me. I won't deny it. I love them. I don't even think I was taking them for my pain as much as, you know, after a while. And I remember after being on them a month, my sister said, "Be careful. They say it only takes 2 weeks to get hooked." Well, I've already been in a month. I said, I'm pretty screwed. But I wasn't that worried about it at the time. So then let's fast forward 5 years. And I'm 5 years or about 4 years, maybe 3 years clear of my back surgery. I was needing them to just not feel sick. That's the downfall with heroin and pain pills, because pain pills are made from heroin. Fentanyl, we all heard the stories about how bad that is, and it's took over our country. It really has. Coming straight from the border. I've heard that it's basically made by the Chinese, but it's shoved through from Mexico, and because the chemicals and stuff that they use are from Mexico or from China. But anyway, and 300 people a day are dying from fentanyl or some type of fentanyl because they're putting it in all the different pills. They're putting in fentanyl in everything, from what I hear. I've luckily never. It was not really a thing when I was on my pain pills, and that wasn't that long ago. So it's kind of fairly new. But I had a daughter. My daughter's friend overdosed on 1 pill. They got off of a Snapchat, 1 pill, and it was laced with fentanyl. And I feel so sad for those parents because that's their only child. So it's good to be aware. I can tell you what starts a lot of people is leaving your leftover prescriptions in sight or in a place where your kids can get a hold of them. Kids are so eager to try things. They hear about things. So how easy is it if there's leftover bottle. I think people have gotten a lot better over the years, but there's a leftover bottle in the medicine cabinet or wherever, and your son, daughter says, I'm going to try one of these. Maybe they even have a back pain. Maybe just help for one time. And it's a very euphoric kind of a good feeling. And it took me years to figure out that Tylenol and Advil do just as well. The reason the pain pills worked is because it makes you feel good. It makes you kind of forget about it because you're in that euphoric kind of feeling. But I realized that I was having more pain with the pills. Doctor said that to me. I'm like, oh, whatever, doc. Crazy. Give me more. Because I was getting legally. I mean, I wasn't even getting them illegally. But what happens is the kids get these pills. This is dear and dear to my heart. This is one of the things my coaching is about. Is I'm not a professional addiction, therapist or doctor, but I know I have a lot of wisdom to share, and that's kind of why I want to be like an aftercare person, maybe to kind of support somebody and help them, because I know what it's like. It ruined my marriage. The pills were, once I got off of them, I had so much depression, and so did my ex-wife. I mean, I hate to bring her up, but we were both kind of got out, and she never did a drug in her life. That's how easy it is to get hooked on those things. But once we got off of them, we realized how depressed we were. What it does is it blocks your serotonin and dopamine receptors, or how you build those chemicals in your body, whatever. Without being scientific here, I can get a gist of it, but it takes a while for those to come back. And I didn't realize it. I thought I was doomed. And about 2 years later, I had my motorcycle wrecked. Oh, that's the funny part. Not really funny, but I wrecked my motorcycle. Long story short, I lost my job. I didn't have my prescription pills or my prescriptions. I had to quit taking my antidepressants and my anxiety meds, because being off the pills gave me anxiety and depression. And it was a real scary kind of eye opener. Like, oh my God, I can't take nothing. But guess what? I don't take nothing now. And it's been 5 years. I'm so grateful for that day. And I'm not knocking anybody. I mean, but I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not a big believer in prescription meds. I mean, pharmaceuticals don't want to hear that. But if you believe in God at all, you have to know by now, there's natural remedies for lots and lots of things that we do. There's things that, there's different minerals and different herbs and stuff like that are very, very amazing. We just never been privy to them. We never were told. But I'm getting off track a little bit. Point being is I got my happiness back, happier than I've ever been. And I believe it's because I got off all my prescriptions and not on anything, kind of a natural feeling. And I should have brought this video to show you guys, but there is an oil, from what I understand, that are naturally, I consider God-given, that builds up in the base of our neck. And they say, basically, in other words, we're climbing the Jacob's ladder. Comes into our brain, and it's what gives us our peace and our love. So if like you're eating bad, or you're doing drugs, or you're drinking a lot, those are all things that kind of hurt our body, right? But if you kind of take care of your body, our body's a temple. We're kind of made up of energy, but our shell is what we use. And it's quite the shell. You don't want to keep that thing nice. And I'm not one that's a big workout guy. I used to be, but I'm not trying to preach to anybody about that, because I'm bad about it too. But I do try to eat as best I can. Try not to put poison in my body. And it's funny how I can tell, because I have days that are good, days are kind of not so good. And I've always wondered that. What the hell is wrong with me? A lot of it's a chemical imbalance. If you're eating bad stuff, you're going to start to have bad days. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep. That's another one. Sleep is important. Oh my gosh. And I don't get enough sleep. I just can't sleep at night. That's my biggest problem. But I notice when I do get a good solid 8, I feel like the whole next day is so much better. It's It's truth, man. Some of that stuff we just never been told about. But sleep's something we've always been told to have. Sleep. There's another thing that's phenomenal out there. People are talking about fasting. Of course, that's in the Bible. But fasting, I got to eat. I'm sorry, I get hungry, but I've heard that it repairs a lot of stuff in your body. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that, but we're also going to get back to what the addiction and how there's help out there. We'll be back here in about a minute. Welcome back. Welcome back. You guys won't know that show, probably if you're young. So we talked about the different types of addiction. And then there's things you can do for it, obviously. Number one thing is everybody has to, if it's chemicals, you got to detox. And that's going to be the hardest time of your life. That's going to be the worst part of it. I mean, obviously going through some therapy or something, or inpatient drug treatment or whatever, that's not fun either, but you're mostly just talking and kind of getting through it and figuring out what's causing you to do it. But they say addiction is it's an inability to stop using substance or engaging in behavior, even though it may cause psychological or physical harm. Cell phones, they can affect psychologically for sure. Not so much physical, but once psychological gets going, though, that can affect your whole day, physically. So it can affect, I guess, everything. But so here's a number two. Fentanyl has caused 50,000 deaths. That's crazy. American Society of Addiction Medicines. I do know I've heard this number several times. It used to be like 280 something. It's definitely 300 or better people a day dying from fentanyl, guys. And so, and the only reason I tell you that stuff is just to keep a kind of mindful thought of it. Don't do it, for one. There's a guy, guys, if you've heard of Slipknot, that's a local, believe it or not, Iowa has people that are stars. It's unfortunate that the bass player died from fentanyl, overdosed. And it's so surreal when it's a famous person and somebody that local like that, it can do it to anybody. So just be kind of cautious of that. Heroin, obviously, is a derivative of pain medicine or opiates too. And that may be, in my opinion, probably, I'm so glad I never had a chance to even try that, because I've heard that's the most addictive thing and the worst thing to get off of. It's so hard. So just keep that in mind. Those drugs don't come with ingredients. You never even know what's being put in them. It could be something that's very, like playing Russian roulette, you know what I mean? But don't think for a minute it's your fault. Don't beat yourself up. It's an addiction. And that's why it's called an addiction, because you didn't plan on it. You didn't set out to go be addicted. Alcohol, it's legal. And people die from alcohol all the time. People get addicted. And it's hard to stop once you've been on it. And then alcohol can be deathly if you try to get off it, if you're really bad. You definitely need to take the right steps, but talk to somebody. Definitely talk to somebody. And people, if you are, an addict, somebody that's an addict, give them some support. Don't condemn them. It's just making it worse. Truly are. You can always contact me on my website too, because I've definitely got some experience in really how to deal with people and how to deal with it if you are it, or if you are one. And I care a lot about this for some reason. I just do, because it affected me, ruined my life for a short bit. And there's always help. It's not your fault. Never your fault. Any chance, CausIt'sEaZy.com. Just ask for Coach. You'll find me. Okay. So then some different here's some addictions that people don't consider maybe addictions. So like impulse controls, like gambling, food, sex. That's a real thing. Remember Tiger? Pornographic stuff. People are addicted to porn. Using computers or the internet, which that could be me. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. I sometimes, and I'm not even very smart on the computer, but that's probably what keeps me going, because I like to learn, Knowledge is power. That's believable. And then, exercise it even. Good things can be addictive. And that doesn't mean they're harmful, but they can be. If they're taking over your life, like say your relationship suffers because you work out so much, that kind of stuff. Spiritual obsessions, I don't consider it an obsession, but it can be considered that. Seeking pain can be an addiction even. People that cut themselves. And here's one that you women, a lot of you may have to be careful with. Shopping. But then again, I'm not innocent. I love Amazon. That's made me a little bit of an addict too. I mean, just because the Amazon guy invited me to his wedding doesn't mean I use it that much. But yes, fentanyl is the one you definitely want to keep an eye on, and they need to stop that shit from coming in here, just to be honest. But my opinion is heroin and opiates are the worst drugs out there, but fentanyl is combined with them a lot. Fentanyl by itself would instantly kill people. If they ever gave you that straight, it's just not good. And to be honest with you, for me, I shouldn't maybe say it, but the one drug that they used to be so big about is marijuana. And it's, if you guys notice, it's come legal in probably half the states. It's probably more than half for medical purposes. I believe wholeheartedly that helps with depression and anxiety. I really do. But it's illegal. You can't do it. But if you can avoid prescriptions, this is my opinion, but there's facts behind it, avoid prescription pills if you can. I don't think they're all good for you. Sometimes I think they're bad for you, but that's just my opinion. But nothing wrong with it working out. Just don't let it affect your personal life. Maybe affect your relationship or your, livelihood. There's more to life than working out. Trust me. You're not gonna be unhealthy if you miss a day. So, all right, guys. I hope that was informative. I probably should do about a 2-hour show on this, but that's how much stuff there is to do on it. But I always have information on my website. You can always reach me on my website and social media. They call me I'm a fighter. I fight for people's rights and fight for people's lives. So God bless you.
You have been listening to the Cuz It's EaZy Show with me, Coach EaZy. Empowered empath, empowering mindsets, and building confidence through adversities. Tune in every Tuesday at 3:30 Pacific, 5:30 Central Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where I, Coach EaZy, will show you the easy way to make your life simple, abundant, and amazing. No matter what you have experienced in your life, you can feel positive, confident, learn to laugh, and have fun again. For more information on the Cuz It's EaZy approach, visit CuzIt'sEaZy.com. Cuz, C-U-Z, It's EaZy, EaZy.com.